Starship's 11th flight, which at first looked like a simple success with no explosion, actually turned out to be packed with unexpected details. One of the most fascinating hidden elements was inside the booster. Not only did SpaceX reuse it, but they added a smart twist this time. So let's check out the latest booster landing video to see what's going on. The footage starts just after ignition. Right away, something stands out. Like the recent tower catch trials, this booster performed a 13-engine landing burn. But this time, they were running the new V3 setup. So what makes this one different? As the booster plummets through the denser layers of the atmosphere, it uses 4 hypersonic grid fins to guide itself precisely toward the target zone. You can't see that part very clearly in this new clip, but if you look back at the full live stream, there are a few things to notice. Roughly 5 seconds before engine ignition, the booster is still tearing through the air at more than 1,400 kilometers per hour. At around 4.5 kilometers high, it begins to slow down a bit in those final moments. Then the engines roar to life, and even then, it's still moving fast. At that point, SpaceX fires up all 13 Raptor engines, every one from the outer ring, the middle ring, and the center trio, to hit the brakes hard. That's an enormous burst of power, and it's all happening just 2 kilometers above the ocean. Now here's where things start to get really intriguing. Instead of the usual 13-3 engine transition we've seen before, SpaceX tried something totally new. This time, the booster dropped from 13 engines down to 5, keeping the 3 in the center and lighting up 2 more from the middle ring, 1 on each side. The goal here is to gather data for the next wave of super heavy boosters. The upcoming V3 models are planned to use 5 engines during this stage of descent. That setup gives them finer control and adds backup capability. So if one engine goes out mid-burn, the remaining 4 can balance things out and keep the descent steady. It's not an entirely new concept, though. On Flight 10, SpaceX tested a similar idea, deliberately shutting off one of the 3 center engines mid-burn and switching to another from the middle ring. Same purpose, build fault tolerance and make the system more resilient. Back to the latest flight, after that 5-engine phase, they throttle back down to 3. And then something remarkable happens. The booster almost hovers in place for a full 6 seconds. It just hangs there in midair. That's incredibly impressive. Since the plan is for these boosters to eventually be caught by the launch tower, being able to hover precisely and stay stable is a huge step forward. This was likely a controlled test to see exactly how fine their hover control can get. Then all engines cut off while the booster is still about 200 meters above the water, and just like that, the footage ends right before it hits. Come on, SpaceX. We all know that thing blew up when it hit the water. Why do you always stop the footage right before impact? You've released full montages of Falcon 9 and even Grasshopper explosions back in the early days. Just show us the whole thing. Anyway, this marked the second time this year that SpaceX reused a super heavy booster. And compared to the first attempt, this one went a lot smoother. That earlier test managed to lift off and complete its boost-back burn, but it didn't survive the final landing sequence. During that flight, SpaceX was testing a sharper return angle, which likely made the landing a bit too aggressive. Still, even those failed attempts have value. Each one provides critical data and pushes them closer to perfecting these complex recoveries. Every iteration moves them toward their ultimate goal, a fully reusable Starship system. What's especially cool is that even though this was the final flight for this particular booster model, SpaceX used it to run a ton of experiments. They're clearly extracting every possible bit of information from it to prepare for what's next. Because Flight 12 isn't just another test, it kicks off an entirely new chapter. Because Flight 12 marks the beginning of a brand new era. And when SpaceX says new, they mean everything is getting a redesign. The ship, the booster, the engines, even the launch infrastructure. The next version of the Super Heavy booster is going to look noticeably different and deliver much more power. Starting from the base, it'll still feature 33 engines, but this time they'll be the upgraded Raptor V3s. These engines aren't just stronger, with thrust increasing from 230 tons to about 280 tons each. They're also far simpler in design. The Raptor V3 has fewer visible parts, which makes it easier to produce, maintain, and operate more reliably during flight. With fewer exposed components, there's simply less that can fail during launch or re-entry. To feed those more powerful engines, the booster itself is also growing slightly taller. The stretched design provides room for larger propellant tanks, and inside there's a major new feature, a massive transfer tube that channels liquid methane from the top of the booster down to the engines. Visually, one of the biggest differences is the grid fin setup. SpaceX is moving from the familiar X-shaped arrangement to a new T-shaped configuration. The reason? They've built the chopstick catch pin directly into the fin structure itself. To handle that integration, each fin has been reinforced. about 50% larger and stronger than before. That upgrade gave SpaceX the confidence to remove one fin entirely. So now, instead of 4 fins in an X, the booster will fly with 3 in a T layout. And just above those fins sits something completely new for Super Heavy: an integrated hot staging interface. This redesign allows exhaust gases to vent more cleanly and efficiently during stage separation, fixing some of the turbulence and heat issues seen in earlier flights. So yeah, Flight 12 is shaping up to be the start of something entirely different. SpaceX is clearly preparing for its next big leap forward. And this time, it's not just about flying higher or farther, but about refining every system for full reusability and rapid turnaround launches. Elon Musk remains incredibly confident in Starship, the colossal launch vehicle SpaceX is building to push human exploration deeper into space. In a post on social platform X, Musk reiterated that Starship is central to his long-term plan for colonizing Mars, but he also admitted the scale of that goal is immense. Creating a sustainable settlement on Mars, he said, will mean transporting more than 100,000 people and about 1 million tons of cargo to the Red Planet. Musk emphasized that the ultimate mission isn't just reaching Mars, it's securing the survival and expansion of human consciousness itself. He noted that sending a few people to Mars isn't the true milestone. The real breakthrough will be making the planet self-sustaining, able to grow and thrive even if supply missions from Earth suddenly stop. This statement comes as SpaceX recently refreshed its official website, outlining new ambitions for both lunar and Martian missions, with target timelines around 2028 for the Moon and 2030 for Mars. The company even shared estimated pricing for Starship payload deliveries, coming in at roughly $100 million per metric ton. That number will be key when planning future missions and partnerships. However, not everyone in the aerospace world fully agrees with Musk's Mars-first strategy. Some believe he's skipping an important step. They argue that the Moon should come first, serving as a crucial proving ground for the systems and operations that Mars will eventually require. Former NASA Administrator Bill Nelson voiced this exact view. "You can't have Mars without the Moon," he said, emphasizing that the Artemis program's early research will provide the foundation for future Mars missions. He added that Musk's work on NASA's lunar lander contract isn't a distraction, but an essential step. He can't land on Mars if he doesn't have a lander, Nelson noted. What he learns from the lunar lander will directly help with the Mars lander. Another key voice in this conversation is Tom Mueller, SpaceX's very first employee and the founder and CEO of Impulse Space. Mueller, a legendary propulsion engineer known for creating SpaceX's Draco, Merlin, and Super Draco engines, left the company in 2021 to launch his own venture focused on in-space propulsion systems. Impulse Space has already carved out a niche by developing its Mira kick stages, vehicles designed for orbital maneuvering and precise satellite delivery. The company is also working on a larger system called Helios, built for heavier payloads and long-distance missions. But Mueller's goals go far beyond Earth orbit. He's openly stated his intention to enable dependable, multi-ton landing capabilities on the Moon, a step that many experts see as vital before humans attempt to settle Mars. In a recent company update, Mueller outlined Impulse Space's next big move, expanding its in-space transportation services to include direct lunar cargo delivery. In a detailed blog post, he described a new mission architecture combining the already proven Helios kickstage with an entirely new lunar lander built in-house. This system is designed to carry up to 3 tons of cargo to the lunar surface using existing flight-proven technology, offering a cheaper and more reliable way to get heavy payloads to the Moon. According to Mueller, the proposed system would launch aboard a standard medium or heavy lift rocket, with the lunar lander attached as a payload on top of Helios. Once deployed into low Earth orbit, Helios would act as the cruise stage, carrying the lander to low lunar orbit in about a week. When it arrives, the lander would detach and perform a controlled descent to the Moon's surface. Thanks to Helios's high delta-V capability, this setup doesn't require in-space refueling, removing one of the biggest sources of complexity and risk. Mueller explained that this approach could help fill the current gap in lunar cargo transport by providing direct delivery of large payloads, something that's still rare in today's space economy. The goal is to support early lunar infrastructure, resource utilization, and long-term economic activity on the Moon. Impulse Space estimates it could deliver around 6 tons of cargo to the lunar surface each year, spread over 2 missions beginning in 2028, all at a competitive cost. The company believes this architecture offers several strategic and technical advantages. By using existing proven launch vehicles, the missions become faster to deploy and less risky overall. Development of Helios is already well underway, with its first flight scheduled for late next year and routine operations expected by 2028. Impulse's vertically integrated approach, building most of its hardware and software in-house, also gives it tighter control over performance, cost, and quality. Mueller added that work on the lunar lander's propulsion system is progressing quickly, drawing on experience from the Mira spacecraft, which was designed and launched in under 15 months. The team is confident they can bring the new lander to life just as fast. The new engine will burn a mix of nitrous oxide and ethane, the same propellant combination that powered Mira. This choice eliminates the boil-off problems that come with cryogenic fuels, making it ideal for long-duration missions. It's also being engineered to throttle and restart, with a high specific impulse for fine-tuned control during descent. Exactly what's needed for a precise lunar landing. Mueller wrapped up his update by reaffirming Impulse Space's confidence in its ability to meet both industry demand and mission timelines. Backed by a strong record of rapid, dependable spacecraft development, he emphasized that a thriving space economy relies on three key pillars: maintaining a lasting human presence beyond Earth, harnessing space-based resources, and dramatically lowering the cost of moving between orbits. Improving access to the Moon advances all three. The Moon offers a rare opportunity to build a sustainable human foothold outside Earth. It can serve as a vital staging point for deeper missions into the solar system, while also granting access to valuable materials, including helium-3, a potential future energy source. And with the Moon's much weaker gravity compared to Earth's, moving materials from its surface to low Earth orbit is far more energy efficient than launching from Earth itself. But to make that future possible, reliable transportation infrastructure is essential. That's where Impulse Space's upcoming lunar lander, and eventually SpaceX's Starship, come into play. Together, they represent the kind of heavy lift and precision landing capability needed to jumpstart the lunar economy. If both systems succeed, they could open the door to a scalable, self-sustaining network of missions that connect Earth, the Moon, and beyond, turning what was once science fiction into a functioning, expanding space civilization.